All right.
So put Shalom Rav in there. I hope it's okay. It's in the book. So
Great. As long as it's. Oh wait, is it in here?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, but the only thing that wasn't in there was like page numbers for the handout.
That's so smart.
So I didn't fill them all in. But do we want to?
I might need to do that.
I left them. Oh, and this was Unending Love is in the handout, so it's a little awkward to go back and forth with Shema, but
Everlasting
love you. Hashgivin is in the handout. What page are we on now? 4.
And Kol Amida is in here.
Yeah, which is also 4. And I'll just keep going. 4 to 4. But you don't need to announce that.
No.
Yeah. And then I think Olam Chesed at the end. Oh, and Life After Death. Okay.
How are you, my friend? So good.
All right. There it is.
Game on.
All right, well, and anything we notice, we'll mark down.
Right. I have so much paper. It just seems like
A lot of stuff.
it's gonna be great.
Oh, wait, I'm on. Shabbat Shalom, 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 Umevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's good to be together. It seems like Shabbat arrived just in time this week. It's good to be together. It's good to be joined with you in prayer and in community and in song tonight. This evening, as you saw on the way in, we are trying something new this week with this supplement of prayers and readings to augment our Reclaiming Shabbat booklet. I know that it's a lot of paper to juggle. I will thank you in advance for bearing with us as we try these new readings and this new experience. We will be anxious to hear what you think of some of the materials that we've added into tonight's service. While you're juggling your papers, it will be very difficult for you to handle your cell phone, so it's probably a good time to just go ahead and turn it off so that we can be together for an hour and not have one more thing to distract us from each other and from the holy work that we're here to do. So while you're doing that, I will invite you to join me first in the handout, in the prayer supplement. We'll begin with the opening reading at the top of page 2 of the supplement. Either you will go through this door or you will not go through. If you go through, there is always the risk of remembering your name. Things look at you doubly, and you must look back and let them happen. If you do not go through, it is possible to live worthily, to maintain your attitudes, to hold your position, to die bravely, but much will blind you, much will evade you. At what cost, who knows? The door itself makes no promises. It is only a door. Moving now to our prayer books on page 2, we'll prepare for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. It is a pleasure for me to invite Jane Root to the bima to lead us in this reflection and these blessings.
O God, you are the light by which we see the ones we love, and as we kindle these lights, we begin a holy time. May we and all Israel find in it refreshment of body and spirit, and the sense that you are near to us at all times.
We give thanks for our home, where we find rest from the day's work and refuge from cares. May it be warm with love and companionship. May our joys be heightened and our sorrows softened by the love we give and receive.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with mitzvot and command us to kindle the lights of the Shabbat.
May we be blessed with Shabbat joy.
May we be blessed with Shabbat peace. May we be blessed with Shabbat light. We're going to turn back to our supplement to page 2. I want to share a new original setting that I wrote, inspired by the liturgical poem Lecha Dodi. These words are always sung in Hebrew, and I wanted to shed light on some of the beautiful imagery that lives hidden within them. Lecha Dodi is a poem that teaches us about the gift that Shabbat can be in our lives, a fountain of blessing that arrives each week to give us a break from the ordinary business under which we find ourselves buried. Shabbat is a time for the we, for us to come together in joy, to find holiness in the act of talking with someone face to face with nothing else to distract us. Let us welcome that special time in like we would welcome in a bride, with awe and with celebration. And this is a bit of a call and response, so maybe Rabbi, you'll help them out a little bit on the echo.
Sure.
All right. Let's try that again. Lecha Dodi, likra kala'a, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Everybody say hey, hey, Lecha Dodi. Let's try that again. Everybody say hey, the next time goes up. Hey, 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 Lecha Dodi. You guys are doing B'nai Shabbat, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat, Kabbalat. Everybody say, hey, 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 hey. Now it's time that we're going to rise, and we're going to face the entrance as we welcome in the Shabbat bride. Oh, rise, shine awake and sing. Raise your voice, make a choice, let it ring. Oh, rise, shine awake and sing. It's your day, shout hooray, do your thing, do your thing. L'chadodi, sing with me. L'chadodi, li'gragala, gragala, b'nai Shabbat, b'nai Shabbat, le'kabela, kabela. Everybody say, hey, 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 l'chadodi. One more time, everybody. Everybody say, hey, 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 l'chadodi.
We have welcomed the Shabbat bride, so it's time for us to take a minute to welcome each other. If you would take a moment and wish a Shabbat Shalom to someone standing nearby.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. There's a lot to juggle. Still standing now, we turn to page 3 for the Baruch Hu, with which we call ourselves to worship together. Page 3 of your prayer books. Still in our prayer books and still standing, we turn to page 4 for the responsive reading under Roman numeral 2. In heaven and on earth, in a clap of thunder, in a whisper of the soul, in praise on yellowed parchment in an ancient tongue, in yearnings of the heart, in a child not yet born.
Praised be God.
In the taste of tears and wine, sight of starry skies, old people's voices warping the chant, children singing, scientists finding, artists searching.
Praised be God.
All the web of creation shining in holy sunlight, the dew that has gathered in darkness transfixes the light of day.
Praised be God.
And now in our supplements on page 3. We are loved by an unending love. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by an unending love. Let's read together. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we are too weak for meeting. We are loved by an unending love. Embraced, touched, soothed, and counseled.
Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smiles. We are loved by an unending love. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. The Haftarah is in our prayer books on page 6.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 3 of our supplements, this meditation before Mi Chamocha, they say cold feet are a sign of turning back, the failure of internal will, but I say it can be the other way, the body's anticipation of things to come. Whether demons are nipping at your heels or gnawing within, here's the thing. Settle quietly, close your eyes, then take the most deliberate, deep breath, as though it were the very first, God's breath. And when you can feel it penetrate every bit of your being, making the rest of your life possible, you open your eyes and take that first step out into the sea of reeds. Watered feet are just the price of coming home.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר וקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר וקודש. תורה
For the next section of our service, we'll be remaining in the prayer supplement, and we'll continue with Hashkivenu at the top of page 4 of that supplement. This prayer, I think, expresses a hope that many of us hold in our hearts after a difficult week, the hope that the presence of God in our life can feel like a sukkah, a shelter, however frail and temporary, that keeps out the elements, that keeps us dry and keeps us safe and preserves us from harm. The hope of that prayer is the hope that our people has harbored and nurtured for centuries upon centuries. And so when we sing this song together, we're giving voice to a very ancient Jewish hope that the presence of God in our lives will be a presence that saves and preserves and protects. In the middle of page 4 of our supplements, we rise together to prayer.
Ufi agir tehila
האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, נחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated, and at this time your prayer supplement will go away until the end of our service. If you'll join us now in the prayer books on page 11. On page 11, we'll continue responsively. We thank you, O God, for your gift of Shabbat, for the sanctuary in which we observe it, and for the dear ones with whom we share it.
May the joy of Shabbat gladden our hearts, and may its peace quiet our spirits.
Bring us closer to one another in love, with laughter and soft words, with shared concern and mutual respect.
Help us so to live in the days ahead, that you may look upon all we have done and find it good and worthy of your blessing.
On page 12, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We take just a quiet moment now for us to offer our own individual prayers.
say shalom, shalom Ibrahim, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom Ibrahim, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom Ibrahim, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen.
Every week, it seems, brings another reminder of the ways in which our world and the people in it we love are in need of healing and care. So each week that we're together, we take just a moment to offer a prayer of healing, a prayer for the members of our families and of our congregational community, and also those in the wider world who find themselves on this evening in need of healing and comfort and restoration. The words of Mishaberach are in the margin of page 13, and before we sing them, we'll take just a moment to reflect on the members of our congregational circle on whose behalf we're praying this Shabbat. This week, our Mishaberach is offered on behalf of Ann Altshuler, Barbara Berkowitz, Bradley Borden, James Brummett, Marcia Capon, Richard Dana, Jay Empel, Jeffrey Feinstein, Alan Garber, Sarah James, Beverly Kovnat, Stanley Lack, Lawrence Levy, Michael Marcoux, Sharon Martin, Ruth May, Evelyn Muntz, Liba Reisman, Neil Robert, Ed Septimus, Nathaniel Shumsky, Rini Spillane, Roger Williams, Thad Zaremba, Yisrael Moshe ben Ruta Masha, Baila bat Baruch Behuda, and Chenya Rachel Mindel bat Aharon B'Tzipora. We think of all of them as we turn our thoughts to prayer and our voices to song together.
Be
If every Shabbat brings an opportunity for us to reflect on the need for healing in our world, every Shabbat also brings us an opportunity to celebrate. And this Shabbat, we are delighted to have a chance to celebrate with blessing and gratitude the 60th birthday of Heron Levy. Heron, would you please rise? Heron, it is such a delight and such an opportunity for pride and celebration for me to get a chance to offer you my blessing and the words of hope and benediction and gratitude for all that you are, all that you have done, and all that you have given to this sacred community. You are a person who has led this congregation with conviction and with courage and with conscience, but you are a person who leads not from the sideline, but from the midst of the playing field. You are a person who's taken your role here seriously, a person who takes your Jewish life and Jewish obligations to your community, your congregation, and your family with great seriousness, and for that I'm grateful to know you as a leader of this congregation and a member of our community. You have planted many seeds at Congregation Emmanuel. You've planted seeds of love and seeds of leadership. And speaking of planting seeds, I have a little surprise for you. Knowing how much you love time spent in your garden, and with great love and devotion and generosity and graciousness, it's actually not my surprise, but it's Andy and Brett's and Joey's and Emily's surprise for you. They've spent quite a bit of time out in the Becker garden in the past few days, and they've been replenishing the flower beds and offering to produce new equipment for all of the Becker kids to spend their time sinking their hands into the soil and enjoying the bounty of God's world just in the same way that you do. And so when you make your way out to the Becker Garden later this evening, you will see there a special place now called Bear's Garden, where your granddaughter and all of her friends will have a chance to play and enrich themselves with the goodness of the natural world God has made. I know that their blessing joins mine as we give our thanks to God for the gift of your life and the gift of this day of celebration. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, for giving us life and sustaining us and bringing us to this joyful day. Amen. Mazel tov. Happy birthday. A few just very brief announcements about our calendar and our community before I share a few thoughts with you. This Shabbat, at the end of our service this evening, we'll be offering the blessings of Kiddush and Motzi together as a congregation. This week, we'll be offering those blessings over challah and wine provided by the sisterhood. If you picked up a Shabbat handout on your way in, just yet another piece of paper for you to juggle, there's information about some calendar events coming up in the following weeks on that piece of paper. There's more information about all of these things in the handout and online. This coming Sunday, our cantor and our youth choir will be participating in the community-wide observance of Yom HaShoah, of Holocaust Memorial Day. That will be held at Congregation Beth Yeshurun at 3 p.m. We hope that you will be there to pay your respects and join our community in this time of memory and commemoration. Next Friday night, May the 10th, is our annual Leadership Shabbat service at 6 p.m., an opportunity for us to acknowledge the leaders of our congregation, the teachers in our religious school, and all those who are the pillars of the sacred congregation. Please, please, please do come with us to celebrate our leadership and share in a celebratory oneg afterward. On the back of your handout there, you'll see an upcoming event, Axe Night with the Brotherhood. I regret to inform you that that program has been axed. It will be rescheduled at a later date. Please stay tuned. Lastly, we are delighted that our congregation and our brotherhood will be celebrating Donna and Philip Tenenbaum for their leadership by honoring them as our Congregants of the Year. The Congregant of the Year dinner will be Wednesday, May 15th at 6:30 p.m. More information in your handout and online. Please do come join us to celebrate and honor the Tenenbaums and be a part of this very cherished annual tradition. And now a few thoughts. I know that I've spoken to you on a couple of occasions in the past about experiences that I had when I traveled last year to visit the Jewish communities in India. And I hope you'll indulge me again tonight with the opportunity to share one more story with you from that trip. The story I want to share comes from the visit that we paid to Cochin, which is on the southwest coast of India in the state of Kerala. We visited the historic Jewish neighborhood there and spent some time in the home of the elderly matriarch of the community of Cochin. Her home looked very much the same as the home of any other Jewish grandmother you can imagine. Framed family photographs on the walls, crocheted doilies on the arms of the sofas, and glass dishes on the coffee table filled with ancient candies wrapped in cellophane. After walking through her home, the guide ushered us out through the back door, and there, separate from her house, we saw a separate building, low-slung, painted blue, with a corrugated tin roof. This, our host told us through a translator, is the Passover house. Well, none of us had ever heard of a Passover house, so we wondered if something had gotten lost in translation. We asked again. No, he confirmed, the Passover house is exactly what it sounds like. You see, he says, the Jews of Cochin take very seriously the biblical commandment that no leaven shall be found in your houses for 7 days. And so during Passover, the Cochini Jews move out of their homes so that they can cook and eat all of their meals in the Passover house. We North American Jews remove leaven from our homes. The Cochini Jews remove themselves from their homes and relocate to the Passover house for a week. Now, none of us had ever experienced anything like that before, and so we immediately began thinking about how having a Passover house would make things so much easier during our own Passover preparations. You wouldn't have to clean or kosher anything. You wouldn't have to throw away any food. You just relocate to a space with its own kosher for Passover kitchen, with its own dishes and pots and silverware. We got so wrapped up in the fantasy, but the translator had to break our reverie and say, "Oh no, I'm sorry to tell you, it doesn't actually make things any easier to prepare for Passover. But it feels so good when you come home." For us in our Jewish lives, Passover today is meaningful because of the way it removes us from our surroundings and from the places and ways we feel comfortable. And the end of Passover is often barely noticeable, except that for those of us who are parents, it means that we can once again serve our kids bagels at breakfast and macaroni and cheese at dinner. For the Cochini Jews, though, the experience of voluntarily moving into a mode of symbolic slavery for a week is just as religiously critical as the experience of coming home, returning to freedom and liberty, comfort and familiarity after the festival ends, because it feels so good when you come home. For us, tonight, well past the end of the Passover holiday, all of us have done our duty to eat the bread of affliction and the bitter herbs, but few of us have the custom of inquiring of ourselves what it means to come home from suffering, what it means to return to our full autonomy and our complete personhood as free individuals. But this time in our calendar and this day in our history demands that we do so. It's been a hard week for our community. For the second time in 6 months, we've had to face the tragedy of Jews being gunned down at prayer in their own synagogues, the one place we should be able to feel safe and immune from religious violence. But this has been a time of difficult soul-searching for another reason as well, because this week also held the commemoration of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day, on which we return voluntarily to the most painful moments of our people's past. So this has been a week of overlapping wounds of those who have been lost to us, and the wounds that those of us who remain alive still carry. It's been a week of sadness and a week of mourning, but it has not yet become a time on which we undertake an adequate examination of what it means to come home. Now, as you may know, Yom HaShoah is not the full official name of this day on which we remember the Holocaust. The full name is Yom HaShoah v'Hagvura, the name of remembering the Holocaust and the heroism. The second part of the name, the heroism part, is often left off. But the observance of this day was set by the secular Zionists of the early state of Israel in the 1950s. They placed the observance on a day, on the same day, of the anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Their movement idealized a new kind of Jewish identity, idealizing the Jew who was an agent of his own destiny, and so they were eager to shift the focus of Holocaust memory away from victimhood and toward Jewish heroism and self-determinism. And so they placed the Day of Memory on the anniversary of the uprising, the preeminent example of defiant, muscular Jewish resistance against terror. And then to put even a finer point on it, exactly 1 week after Yom HaShoah, the new Jewish state placed the Memorial Day for their fallen soldiers, Yom HaZikaron, which in turn is just 1 day before Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day. And so these days describe a graceful, complete arc from Passover, which combines both suffering and salvation, to the remembrance of the Holocaust, to the memorialization of Israel's fallen, flowing immediately and uninterrupted into a celebration of Jewish sovereignty. And tonight, this Shabbat, we find ourselves directly in the middle, right between the grief of Holocaust Memorial Day and the jubilance of Israel's Independence Day. On this Shabbat, we stand at the midpoint of that arc of religious memory. So this is a time of overlapping wounds, yes, but it is also a time of overlapping questions. Who will we be next week and in the weeks that follow? What will we celebrate? What, in the end, will it have meant that we came home from slavery? You may have heard the remarks made by the Chabad rabbi from the synagogue in Poway earlier this week after he was released from the hospital. His remarks were echoed at the vigil at which we gathered, hosted by our partners at the JCC and the Jewish Federation. He and we very clearly articulated a way in which we can celebrate having come home safely, to resist the temptation to be less Jewish, to stay away from synagogues, to hide our affiliation with Jewish life, to try to fade into the background, and instead to be more Jewish, more visible, more proud of who we are, to take on a new mitzvah, to enrich your Jewish prayer life in a different way, to give for the first time to a Jewish charity. And I will tell you that that rabbi is exactly right. And I would elaborate even more on the list of invitations he offers us. This is the time that all of us are called to move from Shoah to Gevurah, from destruction to defiance, from horror to heroism. The world, my friends, is filled with opportunities to be heroically Jewish. Volunteer with your family. Read a Jewish book for the first time. Start saving for your first trip to Israel. What stayed with me about the Passover house in Cochin was its message that Passover is in part, but only in part, about the pain of servitude and oppression, but it is just as much about how good it feels to come home. Everyone who returns home from bondage, whatever that means in your life and in your idiom, is presented with a choice. Who will you be after you come home? What posture will you assume after your homecoming? one of grief and solemnity, or one of strength and pride? Does the refugee from slavery hide his face and cringe, hoping that he will not be victimized again? Or will she stand tall, take up all the room she deserves, and move forward with confidence? Every year at this time, we say, never forget. But never forget doesn't just mean to remember the ways we have suffered. Never forget means to remember the ways that we have triumphed. Our story is incomplete without an acknowledgement of Jewish loss and tragedy, but it is inconceivable without a celebration of Jewish creativity and Jewish autonomy and Jewish ingenuity. Never forget means remembering that the Jewish people lives, and this day offers to us an invitation. What will we do when we come home? I am so glad you're here tonight, and I cannot wait to see what you do when you get home. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Back in our prayer books, my friends, if you'll join me on page 14, we'll rise together for the pronouncement of the prophetic vision of the future, Alenu L'Shabeach, page 14.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vekor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום
In our supplements now, this meditation before Kaddish on page 6. These things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks. And the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. And in the spring, the rabbits find it, and build their nest inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. We now have the privilege and the duty to recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. On this Shabbat, our hearts go out in sympathy to the family of Pearl Rose, who was laid to rest in recent days. To her name, we add these, the names of those whose yahrzeits fall this week. Together we remember Kate Albert, Renee Rychek Amder, Alfred Appel Jr., Molly Absaloff, Janice Astrich, Tibby Atlas, Ruth Babinger, Sophie Bagelman, Samuel Howard Bass, Harry Burke, Leo P. Billings, Leon C. Bishkin, Sam R. Bishkin, Philip L. Black, Harold Y. Black, David Brown, Joseph Frank Bergauer, Mayor H. Sersansky, Bud Chauvin, Annie Cohen, Sarah Cohen, Roselle Siegel Cohen, Anita Gluck-Korsch, Selma Lewis Corbin, Beverly G. Dannenbaum, Sadie Darsky, Stan Davis, Paula Baum-Feldman, Kaplan Finkelstein, Lucille Fox, Karen Beth Perlman Fox, Jenny Freed, Sally Friedman, Grace Fulton, Bernice Ginsburg, Eleanor Gluckman, Barbara Gold, Babe Goldfield, Zelda Goldman, Nettie Mendlovitz Goldovsky, Chaya Rachel Goodfriend, S. Donald Greenberg, Sidney H. Gross, Harriet Gross, Michael Haken, Ben Harris, Bruno J. Heimlich, Ethel Lee Hoffman, Lawrence Isaacson, Jack Kamen, Harold Leonard Cookie Kaminsky, Libby Blum Kaplan, Leah Marie Karp, Shirley H. Katchen, Carolyn Francine Claff, Ethel Landau, Herbert Lesser, Harry's Lemley Loser, Gertrude Luss, Saul Marcus, Louis Marks, Sam Mellon, Franny Michaels, Morris Miller, Hilda R. Mintz, Bernard Molin, Nathan Meyer, Fanny O. Oshman, Miriam Parkins, Marjorie Pesikoff, Bertha Seltzer Pollock, Avi Raffaelli, Sandra Rowicher, Celia Reingold, Elihu Neal Root, Ruth Rosenthal, Julius Rosenthal, Jean Ruby, Saul Sankary, Francis Schneider, Evelyn Schwartz, Sanford E. Sandy Smith, David Sobel, Laura Solomon, Marjorie Spector, Louis Strum, Sylvia Markowitz Wordloff, Rose Tartikoff, Lily Tashnik, Molly Sachs-Totter, Melva Tofsky, Sally Waldman, Hilda Weinstein, David Weintraub, Jenna Rose Cookie Westheimer, Joe Wilk, Chaika Zhukovskaya, Dorothy Zimmerman, and Jane Zimmerman. The memories of all of them are with us as we turn to page 16 in our prayer books and rise for the recitation of Kaddish, page 16. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalau v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. We'll continue together with the blessings of Kiddush and Motzi, giving thanks for the things that sustain us and bring us joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zeicher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'avim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
We'll close tonight with the closing song on page 6 of your supplements, a reminder of our pledge and our promise to build this world with love. Almighty God, as we came here this evening in safety and in peace, so may we go forth in safety and in peace, in blessing and in goodness. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat.